Alan, so one of the things that sometimes, people might think about doing this course, but often people might pass it up because they're either too comfortable or they don't really see the value in doing this course. I mean, can you help us understand why somebody should do this course and what they might get out of it?
So what's happened is this introduction of neoliberalism meant that communities and societies and individuals have a sense of neglect of self. And that feeling of I'm comfortable, I don't need more pressure, I don't need the discomfort to attend a training and work out that other people aren't as comfortable as I am. Why would you do it? And the answer is comfort actually increases your capacity to live in a smaller world, and a world that shrinks down on you. And a shrinking small world is another definition of sort of chronic depression. Right. And chronic depression and neglect is what our political system and what our social system does well. We're getting used to the lack of services, the lack of delivery. We're getting used to having a level of neglect within ourselves and our community. And there's a problem with that. More people suffer because of this neglect. And if individuals are already suffering, they have to do it personally. It's seen as personal pathology. Your depression is seen as your depression, not as social neglect and indifference. So that's a big reason to turn up for the weekend, is to understand the world is bigger than the small world you live in.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you said you were doing some work on suicide. So
yes.
Is there a connection between suicide and this self-neglect?
There's a huge connection between suicide and depression. There's a huge connection between suicide and depression. When people's worlds shrink, they don't have the resources within themselves or the community and friendship networks to actually feel supported in this world. And if you don't feel supported as an individual, you don't feel a sense of belonging in a community, and you don't have a network of support, you're at a very high risk, particularly if something, changes, if your relationship changes, if something radically changes, and there's a lot of triggers that increase suicidality. But if there's any change at all, you tend to flounder with those capacity to be resilient and get support and be able to work out how to handle it. People get overwhelmed easy when you live in a small world.